someone in the marketing department was like, please let me do this. And they're like, yeah, whatever, dude. Just get your turn and then we'll just get it over with. And they're like, we love the subs! Because they are good to us.
Yeah.
Welcome once again to Chill Filter, the podcast where we drink whiskey so you don't have to, but you probably should. You probably are. Hey, we like you no matter what. Thanks for joining us. Hey, maybe this is your first time listening. Maybe this is your fourth time listening and you're hooked. Either way, and maybe this is your, 329th time.
Nice.
We're grateful you're here. And we're grateful to just, have you joining. Here's a way you can support us this week. Subscribe on YouTube. It's weird how, we're always moving up in subscription stuff, but it's weird how it goes down sometimes. People are like, nah, screw these guys, I'm out. And that's cool. I'm down, whatever.
Hey, it's not always screw these guys. Sometimes it's why am I subscribed to all these things I never watch?
Yeah. That's true. And maybe they need to watch us again to realize how amazing we are getting as a podcast. But anyway,
maybe they do.
That's the way you can support us. If you haven't already, subscribe. And if you are subscribed, maybe leave a comment. So that's the business for this week. Bryan, I think you've had a good week.
Yeah.
But tell me all about how things have been.
Yeah.
I gotta get my entry buzz going. Go on.
Oh, yeah. I didn't quite see what bottle you grabbed, but I'm quite sure we're going to end up with the same entry buzz.
No, I assure you we do not.
Ooh, okay. I'm intrigued. We'll save it for later, but yeah, no, things are good. The week was good. Kind of just a normal standard week for me. Mm-hmm. I've been working a lot on replacing some of the cabinet lights in our kitchen. Because I really cheaped out a long time ago when we moved in, and I got some cheapo under cabinet lights. And then I've been upgrading those because with the bar setup here, I wanted legit good lights. So I bought Philips Hue ones.
Yeah.
And when I put the Philips Hue lights on the new bar, and when I had the Philips Hue here and then the cheap stuff on the rest of the kitchen,
match.
it was astounding the difference in how good the quality was. And it made it so obvious that the cheap ones only get half as bright as the Philips.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. And I still want to figure out a nice trim situation so these lights aren't you can't actually see these lights behind me.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Because this is I realize this is the first.
You're from below.
Yeah, exactly. From below, because the camera's just below enough. But this is the first episode where I forgot to turn them off before we started recording, and I was about to turn them off mid intro, and I was like, nah, just leave them on and see how
you can do it from your phone.
Nice. Yeah, I can do it with my voice. I could ask keyword over there. Hey, keyword.
Yeah. Hey, keyword. Yeah.
No, so anyway, cool. But yeah, no. It's a beautiful Saturday, dreary, cloudy, rainy afternoon.
Rainy in Phoenix.
I know, it's gorgeous. I wish. Well, okay, minus the rain because it wouldn't be so fun to be out in the rain. But the temperature is 72. This was the ideal temperature for the meetup weekend. Yeah. We just missed it.
Hey, maybe it'll continue.
Yeah, maybe. I looked at the forecast for next weekend, and it looks like it gets back up into the 90s. But it'll be
Night isn't bad in Phoenix.
I know, exactly.
Beautiful in Phoenix.
Yeah, and it'll be a good 90s. And actually, the majority of people that'll be here will be used to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Poor Max, though.
No, Max is gonna love it. He has to. He just packing some T-shirts down in this,
right.
Segment of the. Not this. I mean, I'm in the worst of the three. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. It's not that bad here in Virginia.
It's humid though, right?
It's starting to not matter because we're getting lows in the 40s, highs in the 70s.
Dang.
So
nice.
It's my favorite time of year for Virginia.
Nice.
Because I actually love hoodie weather. Love it. Eat that stuff up. I could hoodie all year in this kind of temperature if it were socially acceptable. No, I'm kidding. If the weather permitted, I would drape myself in hoodies if it were socially acceptable. There's a reference to Seinfeld. He's like, I'd drape myself in velvet if it were socially acceptable.
No, I'm sad I didn't get that. I've definitely watched a lot of Seinfeld though, but yeah, no.
Yeah, it's a George Costanza quote. So what was I thinking? So yeah, we got the friggin' meetup this week.
That's
I'm
what I was gonna
stoked.
say too.
Like by the time this comes out, we'll be like 4 days out or 3 days out from like when I come out. And
Yeah,
some
true.
people will be joining in on things,
Yeah.
and
We got
that's
a
exciting.
we got confirmation. Marco and Az is coming to our
Yeah.
welcome dinner at the pizza
Oh,
place
great.
and with the bar next door.
Hmm.
So yeah, we'll be doing that on Thursday. And yeah, we just a couple days ago sent out the May itinerary for all the.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I made just the worst mistake.
Oh no.
So Josh, your drinking buddy,
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I sent him the info because he's been planning on coming to the barrel pick,
Uh-huh.
and he gets the schedule from me, and he's like, "When did you guys move it to Friday the 25th?" And I
Oh
was
no,
like,
it's been so
"What?"
long that
I was like,
you
"What
yeah.
do you mean? Like, I don't remember what the original plan
Oh
was, but like, I
no.
swear it's been that forever." And we scroll back and look at the messages.
No,
What
it
had
was
happened was
Saturday.
he had asked me, "Hey, what time is the barrel pick on 10/26?"
Oh
And I just
no.
like I didn't look at my calendar to see what day of the week
Mm.
10/26 was. I was just like 4 p.m. be there. And
Oh
so
no.
this whole time he took time off work and everything. This whole time he's been planning on 10/26,
Is he
and I
able to
just like,
switch?
well, he's working on it. I
Okay,
hope
good.
so, but
Yeah, that'd be
like
cool.
I feel so bad.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah,
But
I
who was
know.
the first to make a mistake? Josh. No, I'm kidding.
Well, yeah,
No, I'm
I
sure
don't
he was
remember what
led
I
by
said
something to
previously
believe it was
too,
the
but
26th.
yeah, I don't know. I
What?
probably, preliminary ideas for when we were talking to Chris about what day
Mhm.
to do it.
Yeah, we
We
were thinking
originally
about
wanted to
Sunday.
do it Sunday, and
Mhm.
then Chris was like, "Hey, can we do it Friday?" And I don't know, it was bouncing
Mhm.
around a lot.
Yeah, it might have been something like that.
Yeah.
What are you entry buzzing on?
Yes. So, you will verify this in the
Uh-huh.
history, I'm sure. But I after googling around a little bit, I was seeing that old Charter Oak French oak
Mhm.
is mash bill number one question
It
mark.
is. Mhm.
Hey, okay, cool. So I went with
Eagle rare, baby.
single eagle, very common. Yes,
Yep.
and
Only one
if
eagle here.
I've only I haven't had this in a really long time, but
Dude, isn't it
I'm
good?
it's so
It's
cherry.
so good.
It's so cherry, and,
Oh, yeah.
I yeah, I wish there was a smidge more proof, but
Mhm.
as I've been saying lately, I've been digging some lower proof stuff
Yeah.
lately, so it's right up my alley. Good for
Yeah.
a early afternoon Saturday pour,
Mhm.
and shout out to Brandon Chamness, who came over to my house recently, and I gave him
Ew.
he's always loved Buffalo Trace,
Yeah.
and 2 times ago, he came over and tried Weller 12, and it, like, blew his mind.
Nice. Oh, that's
So
good.
so I've got a
Yeah.
Weller 12 with his name on it,
I
but
think I fed him some Weller when he visited. Maybe special reserve or something. Or
Oh, okay,
foolproof,
okay.
maybe, but I don't think so.
Oh, I bet the full proof might have been a little much.
Maybe
He's
too
6
much,
to
yeah.
under
He's a low
100, I
proofer
think.
guy, yeah,
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, and then I last time he came over, I did a little blind for him, and it was, like, Eagle Rare, Blanton's, Weller 12, and something else in that
Yeah,
caliber, and he put Eagle Rare number 1. So now I
nice.
need to find a Eagle Rare for him.
So, I have, there was a time where I was just much more easily finding Buffalo Trace, and after a while, I was like, "Buffalo Trace is great," and I was like, "Maybe Buffalo Trace is better than Eagle Rare," but then I just, like, one day just put them next to each other, I'm like, "This is stark difference," and don't get me wrong, I love Buffalo Trace, but Eagle Rare took the cake easily. It's
Yeah,
much more
right.
mature, much more oaky in a very beautiful way.
Yeah,
So I'm an Eagle Rare junkie over here.
nice. So what you got?
Well, first, did I tell you last time Brandon came over, he had the Yamazaki 18 with me?
Yes.
It
Yeah,
was good. It was
definitely.
good.
I remember you
He
had
loved
gotten it somewhat recently enough that when Brandon was telling me the story,
it.
and he was
Mhm.
like, "It was some Japanese whiskey, but it was, like,
Uh-huh.
really good." I was
Uh,
like, "That was Yamazaki 18."
yeah, for sure. So I am entry buzzing on a French oaked Canadian rye, lot 40
Mm.
cast strength batch 3. Which is the worst of the batches. I don't even know if they put out a batch 4. I haven't even heard of it. Hey,
Mm.
you know who could help us with that? Our Canadian turtle friend, Broesco Tiswa, or Jason Preston can let us know. Was there ever a batch 4 of this?
Mm.
This was
And
the
was it good?
least. It was a blend of unage stated ryes at cast strength that was finished in French oak. The first
Yeah.
2 batches were like money.
Yeah.
This one was not bad, not bad. It's a
Yeah.
little watery, to be honest. Even
Uh,
though it's cast strength, it's only 112. No, 114.
huh.
But that's not too bad. It just kind of tastes a little watery.
Yeah, I love that you went the French oak angle because I was
Mhm.
searching my inventory for French oak stuff,
Mhm.
and I really didn't have anything. I
It's
mean, I
not
guess
always
I've got
options.
well, actually, I didn't have anything. I only had stuff that was finished in French oak, and
Oh, I
that's what you
gotcha.
said. Yours is finished in
Yeah,
French
mine's
oak.
finished. Yeah.
But then I was like, oh well, Maker's Mark. Like I could just do Makers,
True.
but I was like, yeah,
46,
but
baby.
it's like too different. I'd rather just do Eagle Rare. So anyway,
So, did you oh, I totally lost my train of thought.
Maker's Mark
With
maybe.
yeah, maybe it was like Makers or something. Um, oh, do you own any like brandy or cognac, Armagnac? Have you
No,
ever had good Armagnac?
I've literally never had any Armagnac, and when I
Uh-huh.
grabbed that bottle for you
Mhm.
the other day, I was like, I'm intrigued. I'm
Dude,
intrigued. I didn't know
you
what
know
your
what the
plans
best
for
thing
that
about a
were.
good Armagnac is?
What?
Is a Sazerac cocktail. Honestly, like
Ooh,
it's a little sacrilegious if you're French, to use like a 10, 15 plus year old Armagnac for a Sazerac cocktail, but it
yeah.
is unmatched in the Sazerac department. Not even Saz 18 could beat a good Sazerac cocktail. I don't know about that. I would never mix Sazerac 18 in a cocktail, but I
Oh my
bet
gosh.
that a good Armagnac could beat, like an 18-year-old Armagnac could probably beat. And the why I got that one that you reached out about, it had my birth year on it. So I was
Oh,
like, oh,
cool.
cool. Yeah, maybe it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
as old as I am.
And
So,
so you spurred my memory on something else
mm,
that I grabbed that for you because that 20% off coupon thing was
yeah.
working and it had no limit and it was like
Nice.
just straight up 20% off
Throw
everything you
down.
can fit in your cart.
Yeah.
And I the first thing I went and looked for when that coupon was active was Barrel Seagrass Gold
Oh,
because I was
hell
like,
yeah.
if they have this priced appropriately yet, then
Yeah.
I'm going to grab that. And
Yeah.
no, at that time it was still at 550. But
Oh, that's too bad.
just yesterday I was at Total Wine and looked, and they finally have the Seagrass Gold price updated. It's down to 340, I think, 330,
Nice.
340. But dude, with that 20% off coupon, that would have been in my cart, no doubt.
And they're like Spirits Direct. Isn't Barrel Spirits Direct?
Man, I'll have to look. I'm not so
Because
sure
sometimes they
about
do just
the
coupons on just Spirits Direct items. So yeah,
yeah,
just
but
check.
when stuff is like uber expensive like that,
Mhm.
I think they
They
even put Spirits
like
Direct up
exclusions.
at a premium selection or
Mhm.
whatever. So it might be a premium selection. I can't
Damn.
remember,
I
but
can't wait. I mean, yeah, less than a week from today, we're going bourbon hunting in the
yeah.
wild. Who knows? You could pick up something crazy.
Yep. And actually, that reminds me. Since
Mhm,
you'll be in town, there's
mhm.
if you're looking to shell out some bucks,
I got a few
uh,
caches.
pitch pitch Thomas on Thomas Road.
Okay.
They have bundles all the time, and so
Nice.
like, and they're priced, to the point where they don't sell out. So like,
Yeah.
but
I'm
it's
in.
like they're usually the bottles that are in there are at least decent. It is
Yeah.
not like it's not Fireball and stuff.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
like
It's not like
if you want that
Barton.
make yeah, it's like if you want that Maker's Mark cellar aged, you gotta
Mhm.
buy like a Kilkeman,
Yeah.
whatever, and like some other scotches, and maybe a random cheap rye whiskey or something, but
Mhm.
nothing like garbage.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's an option for you, and you can like place that order online, so it's like locked in for
Ooh,
you, and then you pick it
that's
up when you
cool.
get here. So you have to
Think
look into
about
that.
it. I like that. All right. How's Emma?
Yeah, Emma's good.
Yeah,
She's sleeping okay. A couple
that's good.
times we like realized like, that nap wasn't as long, or she woke up in the middle of the night for some reason. So I think she's doing like a 4 month sleep regression kind of
Uh-huh.
thing. I
Yeah.
think that's a thing. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, it's a
anyway,
thing.
there's a couple times when she gets some hiccups in her sleep pattern, but all in all, it's going well. And she I think I've said this before, but she
Mhm.
doesn't really like cry. She never
Yeah.
just like wails except for that
Yeah.
one day we went to Pottery Barn. But
Uh-huh. But
but
that's understandable.
it's like if she's tired, rather than like throwing a fit, she just kind of goes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And she just like makes these like, I'm about to cry, but I'm just like politely letting you know that I'm upset about something. So that's really, really nice of her to do that.
I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah, I know. She's cool. You'll like her.
She's cool, trust me. Um,
But
I remember when Beck was 6 months old. She
uh
slept great for a while. We actually even, I think yeah, before we went to, Christmas, because she was born in June, late June, so Christmas was 6 months. But before we went to Christmas, I think we started doing sleep training, which are you familiar with? It's basically like cry it out, you'll fall
yeah,
asleep, you'll learn to self-soothe, which is very healthy.
yeah,
And then when we went to Christmas, there was a lot going on. We were in New Jersey with my whole family, basically, like at a beach house, and everything was just different for her, and that really threw off her whole sleep. And she had a big sleep regression 6 months later.
yeah,
It was like I thought things were good, like I thought things were like working out really well, and then it was like, nah, it's all ruined.
yeah,
But then she got back on it, and now she sleeps great. And she's 3 years old now, so um, and Gray sleeps amazingly, unless she's sick or something like that. But she's also almost
yeah,
1.5 now, so um,
yeah.
yeah. How am I doing?
Real quick though.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, how
Uh-huh.
how are you doing? Like, how was your week at least? And most importantly, you've got a test coming up in like 2
No, I
weeks.
hope you wouldn't bring this up.
Oh no.
So I told my boss this week I will not be passing this exam, even though I'm gonna try, gonna give it my all. It'll be November 9th, so in 2 weeks ish, 2 or 3 weeks ish. I will be taking this exam, and it's one of those ones like I know where I need to be in the studying process, and I'm not there, and that's okay. At this point, I'll get another chance. I'll get a few more chances, but I need to give them my all, and that's cool. The hard thing is that I need to like distance myself from the thought that I need to pass this because I know I'm not going to. And so that stress comes in of like, you need to
Right.
pass this, you need to pass this. And I'm like, it's not going to happen. But
Yeah.
like, even when I'm in the exam, like, I don't worry, but it's like the 2 or 3 weeks before. And I'm not going to fight a guy, I'm pretty sure, on the
Yeah.
street. I'm not going to put up my fists and, during the meetup or anything like that. But it is a bummer. Um, but that's okay. I'm gonna chug through it. And the cool thing is I'm going to study through this exam and take it again in May and
Yeah.
not stop, until I take it in May. So that
Yeah.
should give me passing range stuff. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I can see how mindset like that would help with anxiety and all. And but like if you were to look at it objectively, like I
Mhm.
understand setting your expectations and to
Yeah.
say that you're not going to pass, but like there's a chance though, right?
No,
You'd still end
no,
up
not at all. No,
really.
I have taken this many exams. I know what it takes to pass an exam, and I'm not there.
Okay.
Yeah, not even close, to be honest. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Gotcha.
and it's not like letting myself down easy. It is like there is a zero chance of me passing this exam. Yeah.
So like I guess I gotta know, like why is there a whole subject you haven't even begun to study yet?
Part of it
Like,
is that, like, I don't feel like I practiced enough at this point. You should really give yourself 1 to 2 months of, like, practice problems. I haven't even
yeah.
touched practice problems yet.
Okay. And like a
And
whole
then
practice exam, like sit down for 3
yeah,
hours,
yeah, yeah, that kind of
no.
stuff. On
Yeah.
top of that, there is also a secondary scale of knowing if you're ready to take an exam, and that secondary scale is, do I dream about this exam? And if I'm dreaming about it, that's really good. But at this point, I'm not thinking about it so much that I'm like dreaming about it. Because
Yeah.
like when it comes down to like the what do you call it? The curriculum and all the things that are covered by the exam, I think about it day and night.
Yeah.
And I'm not there. And
Yeah.
and it sucks. But I have a good company that hangs in there with me, gives me a few chances to pass an exam, and that's great. So
Good. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And it'll be nice because I'll put in 6 more months of studying, which is totally fine.
Oh yeah, 6 months
Yeah.
apart. Yeah,
Yep. Every 6 months they
gotcha.
take this. Yeah. So
Cool.
it'll be good. It'll be good. And I'll get there. And at this point, it's like even as I talk about it now, I'm like, that's okay. I'm not gonna pass,
Yeah.
but I will get there next time, and I am gonna give it everything I got next time. So
Yeah. Well, we during the meetup weekend, we will do our best to help you forget that you have
yeah.
an exam coming up.
Well, the problem is I'll probably have to put in at least 30 to 45 minutes every day. I'll do my best to knock it because like my game, and this is going long on the shooting the breeze, but my game is consistency. And
Yeah.
if I'm not consistent in studying, I'm not ready
Yeah.
for anything. And if I don't study every day, it's not worth studying for. And
Gotcha.
it's not an all or nothing thing. Just how my mind works. If I'm not in it every day, I don't want to study.
Yeah.
But when I'm like in it every day, it's like, no, I'm just gonna do what I did yesterday, study,
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'll probably put in a
Consistency.
little
Yeah.
time in the morning when I wake up early. When
Yeah.
Emma wakes me up and I'm like, all right, let's put in an hour. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not even worried about that. So
She does wake
dude,
up
I'm
at
used to it.
yeah, yeah. She wakes up reliably at I guess 5:45 to 6:15. That's her.
Nice.
And I mean it's clockwork, man. She
Nice.
unless there's some
That's
weird
great because I
outlier,
normally
she's
wake up at 5:15 every morning. So, but it's of
which
course
is
East Coast time.
2:15 here.
No, 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 the other way. Yeah. Oh no, no, you're right.
uh
You're right. 100%.
yeah.
100% right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, wait. Yes. Yes. So I'm gonna have to go to sleep late on Thursday night
Yeah,
to make up
definitely,
for it.
definitely. Yeah.
But I look forward to meeting this little sugar plum fairy.
Yeah. If she wakes up too early, I'll just hand her off to you and I'll go back to
Yeah,
bed.
I know what to do. Dude, I hope I can hold her. I
Yeah,
hope
oh,
everyone's
absolutely.
cool
Yeah,
with
of
that.
course. Of course. Yeah,
Love
yeah.
little BBs. I never used to either, especially if they're
Yeah.
girls. I just love being a girl dad. So I
So
like excited.
last thought.
Yeah. Hmm.
Just within the last day or two,
Hmm.
I was looking at old pictures
Hmm.
and I was just scrolling through. You know how Google does the
Yeah.
3 years
Yeah.
ago on this day thing.
Yeah. Hmm.
One of our friends, close friends, has a 3, 4 year old.
Yeah.
And so it was like on this day 4 years ago or whatever. And it was Sam holding this child
Oh,
as
little
like,
child.
I don't even know how 1 or 2 month old or something.
Hmm.
And, and I love this picture so much because as soon as Sam started to hold the baby, he started crying, and
Uh,
so Sam's laughing like, "Haha,
yeah.
of course." But I
Mm.
got this picture of her like maniacally like laughing, like and while this baby is like, so it just looks like she's like torturing a baby
Yeah,
because
like
right, the
you little
dichotomy
child.
of
Me
expressions.
poke you in
But
the eyes. Boink.
yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
but so my reaction to see that photo
Um,
now is like, "Oh, baby, like, I could grab that baby.
uh,
I know what to do." But
yeah,
I remember being there then and being like, "I don't know, it's just a baby. I don't know what to do with that thing."
yeah,
So it's funny how,
yeah,
when you're forced into a situation like this, you gotta figure it out, you gotta learn, and, I feel
yeah,
like I kinda know what to do now.
yeah. It's like that link I sent you this week where it's like, I think the baby knows that I used to be a piece of crap, but it's
I
the
watched
for
that.
those who
Yeah.
don't know, it's I think you should leave sketch
Yeah.
show, and it's one of my favorite sketches. It's like I forget like holding the baby sketch basically,
Yeah.
and it's like
It
yeah,
starts off with the baby crying in his arms, and then
mhm.
he says something about being a piece of shit, and then the whole
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh.
the rest of the thing is
It
like
just
and then
gets so good.
the, like,
Sloppy
grandpa
steaks
or
at
whatever at the end.
Ciccolini's or whatever.
Oh god, and
I
then yeah,
know.
that's
Oh,
that's
yeah,
how it devolves. It devolves
yeah.
into the sloppy steak thing, but the
So good.
grandpa is like, "I used to be a piece of shit too."
Live for New Year's Eve. Like, there's just so many lines in that one. Like,
Yeah.
slick back hair. Like,
Yeah, I know, right?
anyway. All right, let's get back into it. Let's take a quick break. We'll go over the history of Old Charter Oak. And we got some good history this week. I'm excited because we've never done an Old Charter Oak before. And so there's some good background to why they call it that and what it is. So we'll go to a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. It's been a good time. It's been fun. Okay, so let's get into the history. Real quick, I have some notes to get to. Hey, we mentioned this already, but this is the week of our Phoenix meetup. And let me just say this, I am stoked and I'm really excited to see all that are there and all that are coming. Shout out to Max real quick. What a baller.
Yep. Flying in, man.
Can't wait to see that muscular man. He's almost like the mailman, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's almost like the courier.
Maybe he is.
This whole time? No.
Have I
Hey,
squeezed
I'm
those
sure he'll
glutes
courier
before?
a few things
Those
back to Chicago land.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
The squeezing the glutes deep cut there.
Mhm.
Max
We'll take pictures.
Max has been to several barrel picks, and he
Yeah.
says this is the one he's most excited for that he's ever been
Take
to in
that,
his life.
Bruzel.
Yeah, right.
No, we love Bruzel. We hope to have him on in the future.
It might be less about the people and more about the whiskey. Who knows?
Totally.
We'll see.
Yeah. But like, come on. And dude, Chris Riesbeck hit us up and he was like, hey, I got this one that I think
Yeah.
you're gonna like find very interesting. So
I know. Yeah, we will have to
ballers.
split that one a couple sips each, maybe. But
Don't
but yeah, I
matter.
think at this rate, we're pouring those bottles 16 ways, and that's that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's gonna go down and we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yep.
All right. Old Charter Oak, French oak. This is definitely our first Old Charter Oak on the podcast we've ever done. There have been a few releases and they've always looked so cool. And I've always wanted to try one of these. Fortunately, this one we get to try. It is produced by Buffalo Trace, but we won't be going over Buffalo Trace history today, but rather the history of Old Charter Oak as a brand. So before I get to Old Charter Oak as a brand, we got to talk about Old Charter as a brand, which is a very old brand. Like some of these, like you hear about these brands for some time where you're like, dude, that is a legacy brand, like an old brand that's been around for a while. Old Charter has been around for quite a while, over 150 years.
Wow.
Our history starts today.
I googled it. The bottle. I'm not familiar with Old Charter, and that is an old timey looking bottle. I can believe that's been around for 150 years,
dude. Easily. Here's
Yeah.
where our history starts today. It might start earlier than any other history we've ever done. It starts in a very interesting place too, Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut. And it starts in the 12th or 13th century, today's history does.
Wow.
At least that's where the Charter Oak was born. Now, I didn't realize that the Old Charter brand was named after a tree. And I'm not talking like a type of tree, like a Charter Oak as a species or something like that. I'm literally talking about one specific tree.
Wow.
Cool. A very old tree in Connecticut. The story goes like this. Back in the 1600s, Connecticut was granted a charter, like a document, legislating that it could kind of govern itself as a colony from Britain. But when a new British king comes along, he's like, I'm going to be in charge of Connecticut and in charge of New England in general, basically. But every state in New England was told you need to give your charter back to England so that we revoke it. We like nullify it. And Connecticut was like, nah, dog, which I respect. I love this. So it was a kind of cool history. He's like, I'm going to be in charge of Connecticut. I'll govern over it. And then the people of Connecticut are like, no, not at all. And this was one of the first, like, we've talked a lot about the beginning of our government in America. We've talked about, even like the Whiskey Rebellion, where it's like, hey, don't charge us taxes that are unreasonable. We want to make whiskey. We want to give whiskey to people. But we talk about freedom. We talk about liberty. We talk about independence. And this is a good example. When the King James II sent over a dude to collect the charter that was giving them this somewhat independence to make their own rules and laws and stuff like that. he wanted to nullify it, but the people of Connecticut actually hid the charter in a big oak tree in Hartford,
Yes,
Connecticut. And they were
that's
like, "No, you're not gonna
amazing.
find it. Like, try to
Yeah.
come at us, bro. You're not gonna find the charter." So anyway, this oak that eventually died in 1856 during a storm became a
Oh,
symbol of American and Connecticut independence. And that's why later in 1867, two guys named Adam and Ben Shapiz, if I hope I'm correcting that right, or pronouncing that correctly, correcting that right, started a distillery in Shapiz, Kentucky, named after their father, who was a Revolutionary War veteran who settled in Kentucky after the war. They named the bourbons Old Charter to commemorate the Charter Oak in Connecticut. I thought that
that's
was pretty
cool.
cool.
I know, right? That's
Um,
a cool story.
these days, the brand is owned by Buffalo Trace, and you can still actually buy Old Charter, or I'm sorry, you can, yeah, buy Old Charter Oak 101 and Old Charter number 8, which used to be an 8-year, but it's close to an 8-year. But they got into a lawsuit in 2014.
Mm.
Um, apparently, I haven't seen many on shelves though. But it's a Buffalo
It
Trace product, Old
The
Charter.
bottle did not look familiar to me at all, and
Yeah,
I
it looked
have
really old too.
perused many a shelf.
Yeah, I have perused many. Um, but anyway, Old Charter Oak as a brand, which is different than Old Charter, was introduced in 2018 with the Mongolian Oak Bourbon. And when you hear different special oaks, like, I don't know, Amberana or Mongolian oak or Chinkapin oak or like stuff like that, you're like, oh, surely they're finishing it. Here's the cool thing about the Old Charter Oak program is that this is not, most people think like it's first been aged in new charred American white oak barrels. But this is not the case for Old Charter Oak. It they most people think, yeah, it's finished in a different barrel, but originally it was new charred American white oak. It doesn't need to be a bourbon. It doesn't need to be new charred American white oak. Two things are wrong about that sentence, or two things are wrong about the condition. American doesn't need to be American. White oak doesn't need to be white oak. It just needs to be new charred oak containers.
Yeah.
So these bourbons were aged entirely in new charred non-white oak, and some of them were even non-American white oak. So far, they've done Mongolian oak, Canadian oak, Chinkapin oak, which is typically a North American oak, but is very different. I actually think one of the trees outside my house is this Chinkapin oak,
Oh,
because
wow.
I looked at the acorn, like how an acorn looks on a Chinkapin oak, and I'm like, that's the ones we're seeing in our driveway all the time.
Nice. You should put
Um,
some whiskey in it.
I should. I should. We'll see how that one tastes. But I think that's one of the more rare options from New Charter Oak. But anyway,
Yeah.
but typically we're used to white American oak, which is Quercus alba in terms of species names. Um, and what we're drinking today is actually French oak. And I'm not saying finished. This was entirely aged for 12 years in charred French oak barrels. So let's talk about exactly what we're drinking today. Again, this is not a finished bourbon. This is a bourbon that was aged entirely in charred French oak. French oak is different, definitely a different type of oak than American white oak. It's well used in the spirits industry, though, as much as French brandy, including cognac and Armagnac, are aged in French oak. French oak. In fact, the legal definition of cognac and Armagnac include that it needs to be aged in French oak barrels or French oak containers.
Ah.
Um, so age 12 years, French oak barrels. I do believe this is their third release of their French oak variety. Since 2019, they've been doing this. Actually, since 2018, they've been doing this with the Mongolian oak. But 92 proof, not too high, not too low, just right. Maybe we'll see. Mash Mill number 1, which is like George D. Stagg, what is it called? Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace. What's the other one? Not Benchmark. It's
So it's E.H. Taylor, right?
yes, E.H. Taylor's batch mesh, unless it's a special edition. But anyway,
Oh,
it is the
tangent.
uh-huh.
I just learned the other day that E.H. Taylor seasoned wood, your
Yeah.
seasoned wood,
Is a
is
is a weeded.
the weighted. I had no
Yeah.
idea. That's so cool. Okay, back to
Yeah.
your regularly scheduled programming.
Dude, one day you're gonna drink from that bottle and it'll be
I
a
know.
fantastic day.
I'm excited.
But yeah, anyway, mash bill number 1 is the lower rye percentage of mash bill number 1 and mash bill number 2 regarding their rye bourbon mash bills. Total wine price, what'd you get this for?
I paid a straight up 100 for this.
Okay, so yeah, total wine price is typically between $70 and $80.
Gotcha.
So you didn't pay too much higher.
Nice.
Let's pour this.
Oh, well, yeah. Side note. So yeah, very recently I did get one of these Charter Oaks. Here it is.
What a
in all
baller!
Glory. I'm looking for batch info on this though.
Nothing.
I don't see batch. It does have an L22 laser code.
Gotcha.
So I guess
I believe there was one in 2019, 2021, and 2020. What did you say it was? 2022 laser
it's
code?
an L22 laser code, which
Interesting.
means the bottle went through the assembly line in 2022. But
Which is interesting because there was a recent batch of this.
So it could.
So maybe you had
mine could be batch 2 or 3. However, today, shout out to Sean. Not gonna say his last
Sean.
name.
Wait for it.
Hey,
Sean.
so he left me 2 samples of this when we had an open bottle night, and so I will be pouring Sean's sample in order to guarantee that I'm drinking exactly what Cole is drinking,
just in case there was.
And actually, I'm gonna pour a tiny Glen of my own too, and just see
should.
see if I taste any differences.
All right, I feel like I might be wrong, but I feel like most of my taste and smell is back since COVID. Ooh, definitely mash bill number 1.
Oh, did you get that from the cork pop?
No, no, just from the smell. Yeah. I can sense mash bill number 1 from that cork pop.
I know, right?
Oh, but okay. I love mash bill number 1. Like, just, I mean, come on, like George T. Stagg, Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace, like, can't go wrong. It's a great mash bill. So here's my thought, though, is that 2 things. French oak is typically not charred when you're finishing in it. Like if you're doing like a Armagnac or a cognac. And so you'll typically see this was finished in French oak, similar to what I was just drinking, the Lot 40 cask strength batch 3. Floral notes typically, fruity notes typically, but not too fruity, more floral is what you get from. And I don't always like French oak finishes. I actually usually say it's too floral for me to enjoy. That being said, on the nose for what we're drinking today, it is charred oak, charred French oak, new charred French oak for the record. I'm digging this nose.
Yeah, the nose is
really.
You can really see the similarities to Eagle Rare on the nose. You really see that like cherry through note come out. And it's got the same level of oakiness. Actually, even a little deeper, I think, level of oakiness.
Yeah.
But there's like no spice at all on the Eagle Rare, and there's plenty of spice, at least on the nose on this guy, on the old Charter.
I mean, 2 years older and whole different barrel. And higher proof, slightly 2 proof higher.
Now, the nose had a lot of similarities, but I think the palate is quite different.
Oh, really?
No, I think the palate is quite different from Eagle Rare.
Okay.
There's some similarities, but it's a different experience. It's a totally different pour. The spiciness comes through on the palate, and I don't mean I mean spices come through on the palate, and it's got an extra layer of creaminess and viscosity that the
Oh,
Eagle Rare just does not have at all,
yeah.
relatively.
I um I haven't been drinking Eagle Rare with us. But I dig it. Slightest bit of too light. Similar to Eagle Rare, where it's like you kind of wish it was more like 100 proof sometimes. What do we know about Colonel Taylor? Like single barrel, they don't break 10 years, right?
Oh,
They're
no
like
way.
8 years. Yeah.
Even E.H. Taylor barrel proof is like 7-8 tops.
Yeah. Which is crazy. We need to get a barrel proof 10-year, like right between E.H. Taylor barrel proof and George T. Stagg, like a 10-year barrel
Yeah.
proof mash bill #1. That's the crazy thing about Buffalo Trace is that you look through their catalog and you're like, dude, if you met somewhere like for example, E.H. Taylor single barrel rye, or I'm sorry, barrel proof rye, the recent release. It's like you're like, dude, that could very well be the highest aged, highest proof, highest aged rye release they've ever done.
Yeah.
And it's like amazing. You're like, why don't I have this? And
Right.
and you think about the combinations of like for example, like I don't know, we don't know this, but E.H. Taylor 4-grain, back in 2017 and 2018, they did a release, and you're like, did they mix like the weeded mash bill with the rye mash bill? Maybe they did actually a 4-grain mash, which is cool. I dig it either way.
I swear they
But
didn't.
yeah, I don't think they did. I think they mixed their weeded mash bill with one of their rye mash bills. But it's like, hey, dude, that was an incredible whiskey. One of my favorite whiskeys ever was
Nice.
2017 4-grain.
That's cool. I typically don't like 4-grains at all.
Dude, it was good. It was.
I'm
I
sure it
mean,
was.
it was Buffalo Trace 4-grain. So you like, I like people know this. Sean Ciaro is probably thinking, like, Cole is the ultimate like what do you call it? Fanboy of Buffalo Trace. I kind of am, because everything they put out is right along my palate enjoyment, which is fruity. I love fruity bourbons. I love fruity ryes. I love, and that's what Buffalo Trace is putting out, like just fruity whiskey. And I love apples. I love cherries. I love bright, that kind of notes on a bourbon. And that's not, sadly, that's what Buffalo Trace is putting out, and I dig it. So,
Yeah.
and I dig
Yeah,
this.
for
This
sure.
is great.
Yeah, last neat comments on this.
Uh-huh.
The finish is impressively long for 92 proof.
Uh-huh.
The finish is, for me, primarily like a Red Hot's candy
Okay.
burn.
There is a little
And I
burn.
mean that in a
Pleasant
not
way.
in a there's nothing unpleasant about the burn at
No.
all. It's not
Mhm.
that it's too hot or anything at all. There is just a mouth tingly spices thing going on that lasts impressively long for 92 proof. And it kind of reminds me of the same way my mouth just kind of tingles and burns after like some red hot candies.
There is something special about this finish, and it is a little less, like you said, a little less. I hate to use the word smooth than Eagle Rare, from what I remember.
Yes.
Um,
I can attest to it being substantially different in the smooth department.
the smooth department, smooth jazz department. Um, I just added some water.
Yeah, me too.
Great nose. Potentially, even it's lighter. You can tell on the
Yeah.
flavor of the nose, but it's brighter in a way too.
It's more on the oak and less on the spices now with
Oh,
water
really?
on the nose.
Yeah, I can see that, but it's also fruity to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
got that classic kind of cherryness. I guess the nose is a little more in line, even more in line with the Eagle Rare now. Now
Yeah,
that the water cut it a little bit.
it's funny. You look at French oak, and you're typically like, all right, floral, semi fruity. But this is not what I expected. I expected the French oak to be too floral, especially when you're aging 12 years in just French oak. But I dig it because they char it. But I love the idea that this is really bourbony. then that's to me, there's no question this is a bourbon, and a nice bright bourbon, like a Buffalo Trace bourbon.
For
But
sure.
it is not. This doesn't remind me of like, I don't know, anything else. Like I think it really tells me, at least so far, that the difference between French oak and American oak is when it's uncharred, as opposed to like when French oak is uncharred, it'll give that floral note. I'm not getting floral notes here. I'm getting
I'm not at
fruity
all.
Buffalo Trace bourbon notes, and
Yeah.
like good ones too. Like 2 more years aged than Eagle Rare. I'm a fan,
Yeah.
but it's not like if you told me, "Hey, is this French oak aged?" No, I would tell you, no, this doesn't taste any different. Basically, to me, this is 12-year-old 92 proof mash bill number 1. No mention of French oak to me.
Yeah. The big differentiator for me, on top of what you said, is spices.
Yeah.
It is spiced Buffalo Trace mash bill number 1. It is spiced Eagle Rare. You took your Eagle Rare, you put it on a stove pot, you put some spices in it, you let it simmer for a bit. That's literally exactly what this is.
Yeah. There's this. Go ahead.
No, you go.
There's this old commercial. It was a Burger King commercial where they were doing like chicken sandwich or like spicy chicken sandwich or something like that. And they're like, how should we market this? And one guy's like, how about this? I'm spicy.
That sounds so
they're like,
familiar,
yeah, how about no? Like, so that's what went to my mind.
It turns out it's stuck in your mind.
That's
how
there forever until the day I die.
I knew you were going on a tangent, and I had to know what it was. That's why
that's why our listeners listen. They need to know what's in Cole's mind sometimes. Yeah.
I love the Burger King songs where it's just the guy like ABK.
Oh yeah.
It's just like it's like they ad-libbed the whole thing and just had some guy start singing whatever he wanted to sing. It's so all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What else you got?
There is you ever see the Quiznos? We've talked about this, me and Robbie, before. You ever see the Quiznos commercial?
Yes, absolutely. Recently, I have seen it. I think we even within the last couple months we sent that to each other. Yeah.
I love that commercial. I was like, someone in the marketing department was like, please let me do this. And they're like, yeah, whatever, dude. Just get your turn and then we'll just get it over with. And they're like, we love the Sabs because they are good to us.
Yeah. Little did they know
much better marketing than that.
Yeah. I know, right? People will remember this for 20 years. No, they won't, Brad. Come on. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Come on, Jimmy.
Yeah.
So good.
He brings it in. He's like,
your wife. I'd be like, hey, marketing. Like Sam does a lot of our like graphic design stuff and stuff like that, and we're like, hey, maybe we should go the sewer rat route.
Yeah, just garbage, absolute garbage thumbnails. Yeah. But speaking of Sam, shout out to Sam.
Shout out.
She did generate a sweet meetup logo for us that got etched on Glencairns that are done and ready to go, that we are giving them out to our meetup participants for the commemorative chill filtered meetup 2024 Glencairn. Y'all will be getting that if you're coming.
Y'allsy. What do you think of the nose on the ice? Have you poured ice yet?
I'm glad you brought us back. No,
I'm just digging this nose.
Real quick, I did 2 different water pours because I dropped drops. I dropped like 3 drops in maybe a half ounce, and I'm going the full mile on this one. It didn't change it hardly at all. I was impressed how well it stood up to the water. And it cut the spices, the spiciness, the red hot's lingering finish. It did cut that a little short, but everything else remained mostly the same for me. So I added a little more water after that to see. And like same thing, it stayed linear. It cut the finish even a little bit shorter with a little less spice. But all in all, all the cherry was still there. All
Mhm.
that like well-rounded age from oak was still there.
Yeah.
It stayed really delicious with water. So I'm pretty excited for ice.
So here's my thought on ice before you get into it. I'm gonna ruin it for you.
Good.
Nose, fantastic with ice. Really bright maraschino cherries, even just fresh. Like you get a mixture of a fresh cherry, a maraschino cherry that's like red, and then the like Luxardo maraschino cherry, which is
Nice.
like beautiful. But the palate is a little lacking. Um, little watery, which makes sense. You just added. Wait, ice is water?
Did you just solve all our curiosity about the thermodynamics?
No, I'm not ready to accept this fact.
Okay. All right.
I'm just
We'll
gonna
Google
block
it
it out.
later. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll Google it later. Um,
Mm,
with ice on the nose, I'm like all oak. Sweeter oak.
it's great
Tamer
nose.
oak, no spice.
No,
Um,
what about cherries? You getting cherries?
oh, it is totally get the deep, almost like
Baby.
chocolate cherries. It is
Mhm.
a deeper, richer, darker cherry.
Who's Richard? You like him?
Richard. Yeah, it's
You
a
wanna make
Richard
a
cherry.
podcast with him?
You've never had a cherry from Richard before? You've never had
I
a
don't even
Richard
know
cherry?
Richard. Little
Okay.
Richard?
Well, we'll have to fix that when you come out for the meetup, but
Okay, cool.
it's delicious. It is
Nice.
all about super aged oak for me with ice.
Mhm. It is, um, great nose. Great nose. The palate, it's actually good. It's,
I
not
like
bad.
it. I like it
Yeah.
a lot
I
with
don't know if I
ice.
prefer it to the neat pour, but now that I sip it again, I'm like, "No, this is good palate." It's just not as good as the neat to me.
Yeah. I think it makes the mid palate more
Yeah,
sugary oak.
I dig that. And the
Um,
finish is decent on the ice
yeah.
pour.
It tames the spices of the finish the same way that water did. But all in all, it's still super delicious with ice. It's like it is not egregious to add ice to
Mhm.
your old Charter Oak
Yeah,
French
try it
oak.
out. What's your friend's name that gave us this again?
Sean, not
Sean.
not
Not
Sean
Sean Ciara.
Ciara.
Yeah. Other Sean.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks, Sean. What a baller. Um, okay. Scores.
yeah, right. Scores. Where's my rating list at?
I have my score settled. This is a 9.1, A to A minus. A minus to A.
Ooh, so this hubbed
I
your
mean,
what?
it's like I give Eagle Rare a 9 plus. I give Eagle Rare a
Uh,
minus plus. But this is probably better than Eagle Rare. And it's special. And it's like really just a good bourbon. I'm digging it. Love it.
yeah,
Love it. It's not blow your mind good, but it is hubba to what good to me. I love it.
nice.
So,
Nice. This didn't quite hit like hubba to what level for me,
mhm.
but I think that it is very good. I think it clearly stands out, which is
Yeah.
my B, just a
Nice.
straight B
Just a
category
B, not a
here.
B plus.
So B plus would have to get to the point where it is like extremely solid, very
Okay.
well rounded. I can't say that it is getting to a point where I think that it is a terrific whiskey. I think that
Yeah.
it is just it is substantially above average. That
I
I think
agree with
that's
that.
like that's probably my best summation of everything I could try to flub and say here. And it is extremely above average. It clearly stands out. Gonna remember this when I see it on my shelf. I'm gonna see it and be like, that's like Buffalo Trace Mash Bill 1 with a sweet, not
Yeah.
sweet, but with a cool, spicy twang on it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna remember it. It's gonna stand out. That is a B for me.
So before we move on to our next segment, was it worth $100?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. For the experimental factor. And if
Yeah.
I saw any of the other ones, Mongolian, Chinkapen, whatever the
Oh, I would
fourth
love
one
to try
is,
those.
yeah, I'm picking those up. I probably,
Yeah.
even if it's under one, maybe 30 or so, I'd go ahead and
Yeah.
grab it because I expect it to be as solid as this one is, with a slightly different cool factor to it.
Yeah.
And like the experimental funness of this is totally
Yeah,
worth it for me.
totally. No, that's cool. All right. Now that we've talked about our ratings, let's talk about our next segment of the show. A segment that we like to call Whiskey World News.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Whiskey World News, and today I have a very fun and interesting thing for Cole. I'm hoping you haven't seen
Oh,
this.
I have.
Okay, tell me,
Yeah.
what is it?
The Van Winkle Benny's release that brought in the
Oh, yeah.
most on
Wait,
unicorn auctions ever.
I see your icon. You have the show notes up,
Yeah.
cheater.
But I
Okay,
have
yeah,
read this. I have
yeah.
already looked into this. Yeah.
Okay, so apparently there is a Van Winkle 18-year special reserve bourbon that was a
Wow.
Benny's private select. Benny's is a retail
North
chain in
or
the
in the Midwest. Yeah.
northeast-ish. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Chicago area, at least I know
Yeah.
they're over there. But in 2003, apparently they selected this 18-year Van Winkle. Yeah, distilled in 85. There was an
Whew.
auction for one of these bottles, and the final price, the sale price
Over
for this was
100,000.
well. So, and I think that over 100,000 thing was like a sensational. Like they multiplied by the fees. They added the
Oh,
fees and everything
gotcha.
too.
Still.
So, and I'm not 100% on this. So if I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments. But
Yeah.
the sale price where a bidder was like, I will bid this, ended up at $86,000. And
Still.
then there's like a
Highest ever.
25% markup on that and
Mhm.
everything from the fees and everything. But yeah, so this legendary private bottling is known to enthusiasts more as simply as Benny's 18, an
Yeah.
unfiltered barrel proof Stitzelweller bourbon that was distilled in June 1985 and chosen by Chicago area retailer Benny's in 2003. Drinkers and collectors have historically viewed the Benny's 18 as one of the most sought after bottles in the hobby for several reasons. Firstly, it's the second highest proof official Van Winkle ever bottled at 121.6. Many have referenced it as the 2003 version of the very, very old Fitzgerald Blackhawk 18, bottled
Wow.
in 1969. I've never even heard of
Bottled
this.
in 1969.
Also bottled at 18 years old and almost identical 121 proof. Old Fitzgerald, very, very old
Very, very
Fitzgerald.
old Fitzgerald.
Blackhawk.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Another point is that in 2003, when this was bottled, the majority of enthusiasts were not even saving bottles like this for speculative investment or long-term gains like they do with rare bottlings released today. It was bourbon meant to be enjoyed, and most were. Bottles from this release were not individually numbered like other rare Van Winkle private labels from this era. Total yield believed to be in the 80 to
Dang.
100 bottle range. So only potentially 80 to 100 of these in
Yeah.
existence.
I have thoughts.
Please.
So one time I've never, actually, I can't say that because I don't know Old Blowhard. I don't know if that was Van Wink or I'm sorry, Stitzelweller. I
Right.
think they say that Old Blowhard was Stitzelweller juice from back in the day. Old Blowhard, I think, was a 26-year bourbon, which was an orphan barrel release. So maybe I've had Stitzelweller, but it was way over oaked as Old Blowhard was. But to my knowledge, I've never had Stitzelweller juice. Besides potentially that, and I've had Whoop and Holler too, which is a 28-year-old release, but I don't think Whoop and Holler was a Stitzelweller joint. But I had one guy one time when I worked at that bar, McCormick's Whiskey Grill in Richmond, Virginia. I had one guy come in and say, like, basically talking about Stitzelweller. He's like, dude, you wouldn't believe the stuff that was coming out of Stitzelweller. And it's crazy because like Stitzelweller ended in the 90s and like basically like I don't know why. I mean, like I do know why, because bourbon really went under and went in the red in the 90s and late 80s. And that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense. But I will say that this guy that came into the bar, he's like, dude, you wouldn't believe what Stitzelweller was doing in the 90s. I mean, Stitzelweller was doing in general, but he was like, dude, it's a whole nother level, like a whole nother level. And I was like, dude, I'm jealous. Like, I wish I knew. But he's like, dude, Stitzelweller was like the pinnacle of whiskey. And so this being a Stitzelweller joint that came out in 2003 would have been just incredible to try.
For sure.
But I would not spend $86,000, let alone near $100,000 on this whiskey. But I would sure be willing to try it. That's all I gotta say.
No, right. So when I was Googling around about this, because I was like, what the hell? I stumbled across a message board, straightbourbon.com.
Oh, nice.
Somebody posted May 31st, 2004.
Wow.
New Van Winkle 18-year-old, 120 proof for $120.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
is it worth it? $120 a bottle, $13.50 for a case
Looking
of
back.
12. Buy
Hindsight.
the case and save $90. $13.50.
Oh, the case.
Yeah, buy a case and save $13.50 for the case.
Oh, man.
And it's like people are in here like, yeah, I don't know. There was a Sam's Club something for $100. So like, unless they drop the price, I'm not gonna bite on this.
Looking back, if you had bought a case and saved it, you would have been a millionaire, basically.
I saw Van Winkle's 18-year-old special bourbon bottling for Park Avenue Liquors for $80. Decided to pass.
Wow.
Well over $100 Canadian. Seemed like a lot of money. Has anyone tried this? Is it worth it? Like, it's and
don't get me wrong. I assure you, this bottle was worth 120 back in 2004. I assure you. Knowing what I know now, even
Bitcoin,
just drinking it. Yeah.
Bitcoin was $10 at some point. Yeah, and everyone, So I mean, that's at the time it seems speculative or not worth, but it's kind of just
worth it.
I'm not saying these people are dumb for passing on it. It's just fun to look back on this and see what a different time it was.
Absolutely. Good for them. Good for the person that made $100,000 off of this bottle.
Yeah, I know, right? Crazy.
Yeah.
But we will slide now into what whiskey would you choose? Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Do you remember 2 weeks ago, since we had Nick Taylor on last episode, we asked our people on Instagram, if you started a distillery, where would you build it? We were asking hot climate versus cold climate.
Yep.
Cole chose Wisconsin. Bryan chose Cole chose Phoenix. Bryan chose Wisconsin. I saw the word Phoenix and was just like, me.
Pahonix.
So it turns out more people prefer Wisconsin. Cold climate, 67% to 33% for you.
Wow.
Phoenix hot climate.
1/3 to 2/3.
Yeah, we got some write-ins though. Whiskey Shaman naturally said he would choose Texas. I believe
he from Texas?
He is from Texas. So Texas whiskey for Whiskey Shaman. Embellish Pod John Hughes wrote in, said North Carolina coast, enough barley for American single malt, but crop diversity experimentation.
Salty. Baby. That's like Isla, where you get like salty whiskeys. Yeah.
Nice. Get Embellish Pod some salty whiskey. And actually, he's Kentucky. He is a colonel of Kentucky.
He's a colonel. Speaking of which, by the time this comes out, John Hughes will have received finally his plaque of how he is a Kentucky colonel.
Good work. Yeah. Speaking of where you're from, though, B-side Bryce Marita says Hawaii runs the risk of being gimmicky, but I'm Hawaiian, so that's fine, right?
But isn't he Japanese? Okay.
Hey, okay,
Bryce,
he literally wrote
How are you Hawaiian and Japanese at the same time? I get it, but I want to hear the story.
He literally wrote in and said he's Hawaiian, so obviously we're going with
he can be whatever he wants. Anyone can be whoever they want. Yeah,
it does run the risk of being gimmicky, but if I'm in Hawaii, I'm in for all the gimmicky stuff. So sign me
And
up.
there's at least one Hawaiian distillery out there, and he could
So,
compete with that.
oh man, if it was grabbable, I'd grab it right now. But 12th 12th something, 12th Hawaii, maybe that's what it's
Oh,
called.
cool.
Yeah, I stopped in and the owner was right there. It was like a one-man shop almost, and
Nice.
I got to sip some of their stuff. He does like a honey whiskey. So
Nice.
it's very, very sweet honey.
Like a
It's
mead whiskey? I guess that doesn't
it's
count because it's not grain based.
honestly, it's halfway between mead and whiskey. Yes.
Wow.
It was fun. It was a novelty vacation buy. I'm not gonna vouch for it and say that it's good, but if you're in Hawaii and you're
You
looking
gotta
for a
try it.
fun
Yeah.
novelty time, go to 12th
Mhm.
Hawaii. Yeah.
That's cool.
Madtown Marketer Ben Klepsik wrote in. He said, "Dude, I'm doubling down on Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'd call it Driftful Glen."
Just outside of Baraboo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I like that.
I like it too because
I almost spilled some whiskey.
I like it too because I love Driftless Glen.
Driftless
Bro Aska Testwasa, he wrote in and he says, just outside Edmonton, Alberta, world-class rye grain and
They do.
corn.
Yeah.
Hot summers, freezing winters. So he's going to get that diverse hot, cold climate, but he's going to get it in Canada.
Yeah. And not too far from where he lives in Calgary.
That's true. That's true.
But I'm not going to dox him or anything.
He could have the tasting room in his house like Nick Taylor. Marco NAZ wrote in. So Marco says, farm in Missouri, area doesn't matter. Farm in Missouri, area doesn't have many distilleries and a lot of whiskey barrels made in Missouri.
ISC, Independent Stave Company, is based out of Lebanon, Missouri.
Really?
Yeah, which is the highest, like, if I were to guess, it was probably the highest producing cooperage in the country. Is
nice.
ISC, Independent
Very
Stave
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Fun side note here, and I'm pretty sure Marco loves
his wife.
Oh God, I'm blanking.
Jordan.
Yeah, well, obviously. Who is the Missouri distillery? Dude, I'm just like
I can see the label right
blank
now.
brain. It's got the
Weston, Missouri. Weston, Missouri. John Hughes is yelling at the thing right now.
Right. I'll remember it by the end of this, but
sure.
they had very recently, for some reason I don't understand, it was being sold by, oh no, I can't remember the other place either. Nashville Barrel Company, I remember.
Okay, cool.
Nashville Barrel Company was selling a single barrel
Ben Holiday.
From Ben Holiday, and it is I'm just gonna say it because everyone agrees, it is a fuck cancer bottling of the Ben Holiday, and it's a 7-year bottled for the fuck cancer like charity that they do. And I decided to go ahead and get that because I'm not sure if I've ever really shared this on the podcast before, but so my dad's going through cancer stuff too, and his family, his parents lived in Weston, Missouri.
No way.
So it is a double whammy for me. It is Weston, Missouri, and it's fuck cancer. So I had to buy it. So I've got a 7-year Ben Holiday on the way coming for me on that.
That's cool. And Ben Holiday, we've talked about this before. We've actually reviewed Ben Holiday. Really good whiskey coming out of Missouri. Not coming out of Indiana, coming out of Missouri.
Yeah. And actually, they did that. There was that YouTuber special release recently that was Ben Holiday, and everyone was all up in arms about it. I did get to try it, and fortunately I got to try it completely blind. I had no idea what I was drinking at the time, and I equated it on a Booker's level, and I totally guessed that it was Booker's. It had this nuttiness and it had the same kind of like mouthfeel and viscosity, so I think they got it going on. I like them as much as I love Booker's, so I'm sure the 7-year barrel strength is going to be pretty good too.
That's cool. All right, what whiskey would you choose for this week?
What whiskey would you choose here? What is your number one bottle that you hope to get during allocated season?
Good answer or good question.
So we got BTAC coming. We got Coy Hill here. The Michter's stuff drops
Birthday
too.
bourbon,
Birthday
Victor
bourbon. I'm pretty.
stuff.
Michter's just, I believe, in the last couple of days released barrel strength bourbon at the distillery. Like it's all coming out now, and I don't care how unobtainable
Don't
it
worry
is.
about it.
Yeah, just consider it like your store is having a lottery. They've got the best bottle they could ever get. What is it that you put your name in the hat and you hope is going to come out in your favor?
You know what's crazy to me before I get into my answer is that it is October. Today we're recording on October 19th. Shout out to my dad. It's his birthday.
Oh my God. Shout out.
Yeah.
Dude, dings. Where are my dings at?
Oh, wait. There we go.
Perfect.
But usually it's like late September. I think that Buffalo Trace announces their Buffalo Trace Antique Collection.
Right.
Not a word yet, but we got our finger on the mouse in terms of reaching out to them.
For sure.
But I will say this is that they haven't announced yet. Maybe they will this week or something like that. But Eagle Rare 17, always, every year, Eagle Rare 17. Love it.
Nice.
Hope to have as many bottles as possible.
So for me, kind of special here. I'm stepping outside the box. I'm not going BTAC. I'm going E.H. Taylor barrel proof rye. And wait, what's this right here? What's this? What's this right here?
What could it be now?
No. Let me put it in
front of my face
baby.
Here.
Oh no, it happened.
It's beautiful, dude.
Oh
it's
no,
absolutely
it happened.
Beautiful.
Should I take the bottle out? Can you handle
take the bottle out?
If I
make
show
sure
you
it's
the
not
bottle,
a small batch.
Are you gonna pass out? Is it gonna be okay? Yeah. Did I just buy the tube from somebody? No, I didn't just buy the tube. Here's the bottle.
What a
right
baller!
Here. E.H. Taylor
Bryan
rye.
got himself a E.H. Taylor barrel proof rye,
baby. I guess we know what we're recording in person because obviously this is getting open with Cole when we record in person when he's here in Phoenix for the meetup.
Pahonix.
So yes, my biggest hope this year, this is not just a gimme here. It truly was my biggest hope of the year.
You worked hard for that. You worked hard.
I did. And I love Rise. And this was just everything I was wanting this year. If this means I get no BTAC this year, I'm fine with that. This was my biggest want, my biggest curiosity, my biggest
So when you win an Eagle Rare 17, you'll give it to me.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this was my biggest desire this year, and fortunately I got it. I hope part of my luck can be with all of you as you hope for your number one bottle for the allocated season.
Yeah. No, I hope, and I'll kind of close it out with the hopes here. I hope that our listeners get all their dreams are based on. I don't know how to say that, but I hope their heart's desires.
I hope that if they don't get all their hopes desires in bottles for them, I hope that when they come to the Chill Filtered meetup in the bottle share, they get to try whatever their hopes and desires are at my house.
Yeah, like a 1980 bottle of Jim Beam. I hope they enjoy that, and I hope it's not like leaded. You know how they say like old decanters might be like terrible these days. I'm hoping it's good.
We'll just have a little bit.
I literally have it right here below the camera in my second checked bag. So we'll see. But it's gonna be dope. We're gonna open it together, people. So I'm hoping you can enjoy it with me.
I hope.
But most of all, go ahead.
Nope. I hope that you buy enough whiskey to justify 2 checked bags on this trip.
Me too. But most of all, listeners, I hope that our love of whiskey lifted your spirits. I think the baby knows that I used to be a piece of crap.